Too sweet! Hi, welcome to JD Sports. I'm Jared Hood. That's Dwight Garfield. You can find our personal Twitters at the show's Twitter page, which is @_JD Sports. I keep saying to myself that I need to use that more because I tweet all of my sports stuff out on my own, and I just need to use the JD Sports one a lot more often. I apologize.
I use it all the time.
Yeah, my co-host Dwight is really good at editing, and he's really good at our social media thing, and I'm miserable at both. I'm barely good at my own social media, so it's hard enough for me to handle. I know. During the football season, what I should do is just sit on the JD Sports Twitter and just tweet.
Yep. That's all I did.
Throughout that.
That's all I did last year. Every major sporting event, that's all I do.
So I'm gonna try to.
That's
follow
the live reaction.
I'm gonna try to follow and jump on that, and I apologize.
Moving forward, you should follow it.
This is the NFL preview. I'm really excited to wait. I know you don't, like talking sports throughout the summer, but I'm sure you're excited at least for the NFL to be coming back around. I know you hate the full big prediction shows and the what ifs and the how comes and the MVPs and the next thing in August. I know you're not a fan of it, but
nope.
I'm a fan of it, and I'm excited to come down through here soon and do this. So this is exciting. Year number 2. This is gonna be the first
second year.
This is gonna be the second.
Season.
But this is going to be the second NFL preview. This is going to be the first one out on video. So
it's fantastic. Last one went pretty lengthy, but it was good.
Okay.
Well, nobody got to see it.
So before we how was vacation, Mr. Beach?
It's fantastic.
Yeah, okay.
I enjoyed it. I relaxed. Team turned up. Got a little darker.
Yeah, I see that. I like that. Now,
it was cool. It was cool.
Des might own Dallas, but he didn't catch it. So there's that. Moving forward.
He didn't catch Tony Romo's back either.
Oh, we will get into that, I promise, because I'm sure we both have a lot to say on that. We're going to start off, we're going to do this preview, we're going to go division by division. We're going to start off in the AFC, particularly the AFC South. This year, I think a team that, I'm going to start off with the division winner, the Houston Texans. They're really good defensively, and Bill O'Brien, I'm a huge fan of him. I think he's a great coach. He does wonders with quarterbacks ever since he was with Tom Brady. I think that he's just been taking steps forward. When he went to Penn State, he made Christian Hackenberg as a freshman look like a Heisman candidate coming for years to come. And Christian Hackenberg kind of fell off when Bill O'Brien left after his freshman year, which is understandable because of how good Bill O'Brien is. Comes in, had 5 different quarterbacks last year, still won the division. Tom Savage started a couple games for them. Brandon Weeden started a couple games for them. Brian Hoyer was their starter for a couple games, went into the playoffs with them. I mean, and they didn't win the playoff game, but they were kind of competitive in the playoff game against Kansas City.
The fact that they got there was impressive.
Incredible and impressive. Yes, they had a little luck because Andrew Luck, no pun intended, got hurt. But how good their defense is. They have a guy in Brock Osweiler this year that,
hype train, here we go.
He didn't look great in Denver. I'm not going to sit here and say he was doing wonders. Obviously, they brought Peyton Manning back in for him, even though Peyton Manning was statistically the worst quarterback to ever start a Super Bowl last year.
The right move. It was the right decision.
No, don't disagree with you at all. So what I'm saying is that, yes, I understand Brock Osweiler didn't look like he was lighting the world on fire, but with as good of a coach Bill O'Brien is, with somebody who can hit his targets and receivers, with a good, young wide receiver in Will Fuller on one side who dominated at Notre Dame, and I know, yes, I'm a little biased as a Notre Dame fan, but he caught he was unstoppable at Notre Dame. I'm not saying it's going to happen in the NFL, but he's going to be impressive because on the other side, you have DeAndre Hopkins, who was a top 3, top 4 wide receiver in the league last year. It's going to be impressive and fun for them to watch on offense. They have, I think Lamar Miller is their running back. So, I mean, they're getting things going on offense, and they have a great defense. Jadeveon Clowney, if he comes back and is what he was supposed to be, that first overall pick, which he already, I know it's preseason, he had 2 sacks in preseason, though, in limited time. I get it. I understand. But what I'm saying, he's looking good. That's without J.J. Watt on the field at all. I know. It's preseason pumpkin breaks. But what my point is, as a defense, they are still good. They were good last year even without Clowney. So if he steps up, is that they can be that team to do it again. I'm impressed with them.
So do you have them winning the division at all?
Well,
no. Oh, I heard a lot of hype just now.
If we're gonna jump right to that, then
you sounded pretty excited about it.
The Indianapolis Colts have the X factor in Andrew Luck. He is one of those Tom Brady's, Peyton Manning's, Aaron Rodgers. Those guys that consistently year in and year out win the division. I expect the Colts to win the division because of him, as long as he stays healthy. They are not a good team around him. I don't think their defense is all that good. I don't think they have great weapons around him. You know what they remind me of? the Colts when Peyton Manning was there. Where like yes, Marvin Harrison was the best player. They don't even have a Marvin Harrison right now. Like T.Y. Hilton, I think, is their best wide receiver. Yes.
Yeah, their wide receiver situation is horrible.
Their Kobe Fleener went to New Orleans, so they lost his favorite target. They lost him.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you go down the list. They're not.
No, it's the Andrew Luck show, and honestly, I think it's.
He's good enough to win that division still, and I know what you're saying. But
by himself, no, not now.
People, and you're one of. And I don't know if you're one of these people, but a lot of people always kind of like look at me weird or kind of give me some kind of slack because I always say that Andrew Luck's in that tier of quarterback that I just expect his team to be the best team because he's the best player in that division. He could be by far.
I mean, he could be the best quarterback in the position in the division. He could have the best team in the division. He could always win a division. That's
but they
great.
don't have the best team. That's the thing.
I'm not putting him with Super Bowl rings in Canton, Ohio, like so many people are though. I'm just not doing that. Like, is he a good quarterback? Yes. Is he the best quarterback in the division? Clearly. There's no competition as far as I'm concerned. That's fine. But like you said, the team around him is trash. His best wide receiver is Ty Hill, and that's nothing. That you can't go. You can only go so far with one player. And granted, they have a great player at the most important position. They're not going to go too far without a decent defense, without a running game, or
their
receivers to talk about.
Needs to get a lot better.
I don't see them winning the division, honestly.
You think Houston?
I don't think that it was a off year necessarily, but I don't think that they're
because I wanted to go through all the teams in this division quickly. This is what's fun about this division. We were talking about, best quarterback, and I think he's the best player in the division. They have a lot of good quarterbacks. I know you're kind of whatever about Brock Osweiler because I think of how good Bill O'Brien is. He's a really good quarterback. Mariota obviously has a ton of upside. He's really fun to watch. I think that even if Tennessee only wins 4 games, those 4 games are going to be because of Mariota. Like, I think he's a really good quarterback, and I think he's going to be a good quarterback to come. And then Blake Bortles is a gunslinger, man. He's out there just doing his thing. Yeah. So this is a really fun young division at quarterback. I think Andrew Luck's head and heels the best one, but
that goes without question. I don't know. I think I have the Colts winning by default, but I'm not real confident. I actually have the Titans right behind them. I really like what they did. Offensively they got Marcus Mariota coming out for a second year. They got DeMarco Murray coming back. They picked up Andre Johnson.
Yes, they have Henry as the backup.
They have a very solid defense.
Wide receiver, I'm really questionable at them.
Yeah, Andre Johnson.
They have a really good tight end in Delaney Walker.
They have a solid team. Out of all 4 teams, I think that they have the foundation to be the best team in that division. That's why I think one word to describe that division just to me is just interesting because it's so wide open because I don't think it's up for Andrew Luck to win it. I don't think Brock Osweiler. I think the hype train's going to sail away real quickly.
Yeah, okay.
And the Jags are the Jags, so I mean...
See, I disagree. I think the Jags are actually going to be... The Jags...
Why?
The Jags lost 5 games last year by within 1 score, right? Okay. They went out and got 2 or 3 defensive players. Maybe only 2 or 3 defensive players is the difference in all they need. Their offense is good. Their offense is legitimate. Their offense is legitimately a top 5 offense in the league. They're really hard to stop with those 2 wideouts, and I think that as good as the wideouts can be in Houston, it's going to be the same thing. It's weird because if I really went through the order, I would go Indy, Houston, Jacksonville, and then Tennessee. But like you said, it's going to be interesting because I'm with you. I think Tennessee can be a lot better than people think. I honestly only think they win like 6, 7 games though, only because of how good the rest of the division is.
See, I don't. That's okay. Well, we can go with that. I don't think that the division's good at all. I mean, I think
every team has a really good offense outside of the Colts, but the Colts have Andrew Luck, and I think he's the best.
Right. Player. I think that Andrew Luck is the X factor in the division. But I mean, I have the Colts 1. I have the Titans at 2. But I'm not gonna be surprised if they eclipse them. Honestly,
it's interesting.
Then I got the Texans, then the Jags.
You don't think the Jags are a good team?
No.
See, I think the other 3 teams are outside of Andrew Luck are better overall teams, but Andrew Luck is that much better. That's crazy. You don't think the Jags are all that good? I'm not. They've done a lot on offense last year that really showed they can be. I mean, they're an elite offense, so it's going to be interesting. It's going to be off that if those defensive moves worked or not.
It's going to be a competitive division, no question about it. I don't think anybody's really running away with it. I just like I said, that's why I'm going with Indianapolis just by default and the Andrew Luck situation. But honestly, I think Tennessee is a sleeper team.
Okay.
Overall,
we will see about that. The next one I had was another really, really interesting division. Year in and year out, I think this is always one of the better divisions in football. The AFC North. I mean, you have Cincinnati, Baltimore, and Pittsburgh, obviously, as always competing. Now, Cleveland, before we get into the other 3 teams, let me just quickly. Went out and got a better coach.
We just run off on that one.
Went out and got a better coach. I don't believe in RG3 though, and I think Josh Gordon, if he can be half of what he was before, they'll be all right. But they're still not winning more than 6 games this year. So that out of the way.
So yeah, I was gonna say, can we just put them?
They don't
at the
have a
bottom?
good defense, but they're going to be interesting to watch in the sense of what if RG3 does light it up a little bit.
Yeah.
Like I said, I really like their coach, and I think Carwell's a good running back. Carwell, so
Well, that's cool, and that's fine. You can call him that. I don't.
I know what you're saying.
RG3 has a ton to prove. Not even just a little bit. He has a ton to prove. Can he do it? Sure, he definitely has the talent, but at this point, I think he's so far removed from that. I don't see it happening, and because of that, I'm glad we start off with them because we can leave them at the bottom because I don't think they're going to be anywhere near this conversation.
I like Hugh Jackson. Like I said, I don't think they're going to be good enough to compete, though, talent-wise in that division because Baltimore, who had injuries left and right, they were the most injured team in the history of football last year. They still were better than the Browns, and I think they only won like 6-7 games. But anyways, they're going to be much better. I think Flacco's going to end up being perfectly fine as long as Steve Smith stays healthy. I think Aiken needs to step up as the other wide receiver, but they have a couple guys down low.
I am glad to see Steve Smith come back.
Yes, me too. So happy about that. I hope
don't
he
want
ends
to see
up
him go out on injury.
Exactly, and he was balling it last year.
Absolutely.
So
and of course they always are in it defensively. Last year they were ranked 8th in defense.
yeah, and
Suggs, nobody even you don't even realize that, but they were.
Suggs was hurt from week 1 last year, so
and
he'll
then,
be back again.
I'm pretty sure
they're good. They're always good. They have a great coach in Harbaugh.
Well, yeah. I mean, a lot of those games, though, they came down, from what I remember, a lot of them were within, 3 or 4 points?
Yeah.
They just couldn't
That's
close
the thing
the
about
deal.
the Ravens consistently over the last 5 years, 10 years, right before that Super Bowl win and then ever since that Super Bowl win, they've been in it. And I know people give me a lot of slack. I'm a Joe Flacco supporter. I think he is an elite quarterback. I think he's one of the top 5, 10 quarterbacks in this league. A lot of people scratch their head at it, but it's crazy, 10, right? Yeah. I think he's a really good quarterback.
I'm not questioning top 10.
The issue is the other two in that division, Andy Dalton and Ben Roethlisberger, are pretty good. Now, Andy Dalton, I think, is a little. He's the 3rd best quarterback in that division, and I think he would fall in like the 3rd tier. I think that Flacco and Ben Roethlisberger are better than him.
I'd put him number 2 behind Ben.
Interesting, but it's
still
a tough competitor.
Yeah, it's definitely competitive. That's not a knock to say that he's behind those two.
Here's the thing, and this isn't me knocking Ben Roethlisberger. This is just me trying to, I guess, show what everybody around you does. Ben Roethlisberger was disappearing before Antonio Brown came back. Like that year, those years between Ward and Plexico to Antonio Brown, Ben Roethlisberger wasn't really effective. Now, he's effective with good wide receivers, different kind of wide receivers. That's why he makes those wide receivers more lethal than usual. Like, he has a style of wide receiver that he likes, and that's what makes Antonio Brown so good. But Antonio Brown is really good. But, like, he was kind of disappearing, like, where you thought that Flacco or Dalton could be stepping in there as the better quarterback of him. Now, what he has with Antonio Brown is next level. It's incredible. You're not going to stop that. He literally might complete 30 passes to him one time this season. Like, he almost did a couple times last year. Like, it's there. It's possible. So
definitely, they have him. They have him at the foundation at the wide receiver. They
got
a good running back.
Yeah, and they even have a good backup running back in Williams. Their offensive line is pretty solid for the most part.
My question is fantastic.
My question with the Steelers is their secondary. They don't have that good of a secondary. It is wide open because of their secondary. I think if they had a better secondary, the Steelers would be the best team in that division. I think they would by and far run away with the division, even over how good the Bengals and the Ravens usually are. I think the Ravens are going to be all right, and the Bengals they're solid on offense, they're solid on defense like they are every single year. They're consistent. I mean, that's the best way to describe them, especially since Andy Dalton's been there. But they were consistent with Palmer too. That's coaching with Marvin Lewis. They're
definitely.
I think sides of the ball.
I think the Bengals are just going to come up short again. I got the Steelers actually winning.
They won the division last year, the Bengals did.
They did, but I just feel like the Steelers, they're offensively, I just feel like that they're going to do enough. And towards the end, towards the end of the season last year, they were competing, and I thought that they were going to make a move in the playoffs, and they didn't really work out. But
the Steelers beat the Bengals in the playoffs, and then if Ben Roethlisberger was 100% healthy and Antonio Brown was in that game against the Broncos, that's a whole different game. It might be the Steelers and Patriots in the AFC champion in New England instead of the Steelers and Broncos. So, like, it's there. Like they were that good.
The big question mark with the Steelers, like you said, is their defense. It was ranked 21st last year. That's horrible. That's not Steelers defense whatsoever. No. You never see the Steelers play that miserable defensively. I gave Cincinnati a lot of flack last year for their secondary, but it was decent. You know, it was kind of middle of the road. It wasn't horrible, it wasn't great, but it was good enough.
Solid though.
Right, but the problem with the Bengals is that I just don't see them ever closing the deal. And
in the playoffs, no.
Case in point, they did it last year. They didn't do it last year.
They have a playoff hangover. They have a playoff drought. They have a playoff whatever.
Last year, I said that they need to get it done, or I'm pretty much done with them, and I'm pretty much done with them because
they lose in the first round every year.
You can't buy into that. And honestly, the Steelers have been there. Big Ben has been there. Tomlin has been there. I feel like they're going to walk away with this division, as far as I'm concerned.
Well, I have Pittsburgh. I have Baltimore finishing second. I have Cincinnati finishing third. But I think you can,
Really, third?
I think you can shake all three of those teams in any way. You can put all of them in a hat. You can dump it out, and you can give me any three of those orders, and I'd be really hard pressed to argue. I think all three of those teams are going to be good. If the Ravens stay healthy, I think they are going to be the second best team in that division.
Yeah. I mean, it could be a dog race to the very end. I actually have the Ravens third. I got Bengals, and then I got Steelers at number 1.
Yeah.
But really, those three teams is kind of interchangeable. I can see where you're coming from with that, but it's definitely going to be a dogfight.
You want to talk about an interesting division? This is probably going to be my stunner of the show, the AFC West, okay?
It's not going to be a stunner maybe because I feel like I know who you're going to go with, but go ahead.
Kansas City.
Okay, no, never mind. Go ahead.
But my stunner is that I don't think the Broncos make the playoffs this year. You got to figure out a quarterback. I know that they had a really bad quarterback situation last year.
It's not a stunner.
I know they had I know they had a really good. I know that they had a really bad quarterback situation last year, but at least they had a quarterback situation. They don't have one this year right now.
No.
It's so they're so behind the 8 ball. It looks like, and even out of any guys they pick, it doesn't look like it's going to be. A good choice at the moment. Sanchez, he was brought in there to be the guy until they could figure something out, and he ends up just falling apart.
He was there until they figured it out, and they never figured it out.
Even with him, they never got there.
LA fucked up. He should have
got.
Their
defense is really, really good too.
They should have got Fitzpatrick. Didn't work out. They failed, so now you're stuck with Mark Sanchez. Congratulations.
I do have Oakland finishing second.
It's horrible.
I have Oakland. Their defense, their front seven is legit. Their secondary is question mark like Pittsburgh, but their offense, like I said with Jacksonville, that's why I'm sipping their Kool-Aid. Their offense is mature. The Latavius Murray, Cooper, and Crabtree. They have a solid tight end. Their offensive line is good, and they got a guy in David Carr that Derek Carr that is just absolutely in there playing real well last year. I like what they're going to do. I think they're going to finish second. I honestly think they have a chance to compete with the wild card with Jacksonville, and I have another team from the AFC East that I'll talk about when we get there.
That's funny because I actually have Raiders ending in last place in the division.
Really? You have them finishing behind San Diego? San Diego is miserable.
Listen, I have...
Phillip Rivers is not that good.
You dog him so much, and it's funny. But I got Denver ahead of them because of their defense. Or at least be respectable. It's their offense that's going to cause them to run, later...
C.J. Anderson,
to be third in the division.
He's good enough to be relied on the way they're going to have to rely on him. He's a good player.
As far as the Chargers, I have them in second. I don't have them in first place. But Phillip Rivers...
You have Kansas City, San Diego, Denver, and then Oakland?
Yes. Why do you hate on Phillip Rivers so much? He was second in passing last year behind Drew Brees. Yes, their defense is trash, but offensively they can put up points and they can get in there and be in the conversation.
Do you know what Drew Brees and Phillip Rivers have in common with 2015 stats?
That?
They didn't make the playoffs, either of them. That doesn't mean anything to me. Like his defense
you missed the analytics, so you should be cool with it.
You're absolutely. I like stats. I'm not a fan of Phillip Rivers.
He was second in passing last year.
Phillip Rivers never does anything in the playoffs. They don't win a lot of games. I'm not
talking about the playoffs. I didn't say they were going to win the division. I said they'd get second in the division.
I'll give you a stat filler all day, but LeBron's a stat filler who wins. Phillip Rivers is just a stat filler. His team never wins. They win.
I mean, they win in a regular season.
The only time they ever win is when he has the best running back in the league, LaDainian Tomlinson. His best years are Phillip Rivers' most winning years are known for a running back.
Right.
They're not known for things Phillip Rivers did. Phillip Rivers, when it
doesn't mean he's not balling
they
out.
barely make the playoffs, and when they do make the playoffs, they're just like they're just like Andy Dalton. They lose in the first round.
So he had LaDainian Tomlinson, and he was balling out with him too. But now
he hasn't balled out since then.
He had the second in yards last year. What are you talking about?
But his teams don't win. Is that
always his fault?
Is that
always his fault?
He fills stats, but he doesn't score a lot of touchdowns.
He's the Andrew Luck situation. He doesn't have a team around him.
Yeah, and that's what is it?
I said he was second in division.
Andrew Luck set it up second in division last year because he was hurt.
I just said he's going to be in second in division.
And he pulled his team to the playoffs the year before,
my point. Thank you.
who were miserable.
Thank you.
Yeah, he was hurt the year that he brought his team second in division.
You just made my
Andrew
point.
Luck was hurt. He was hurt.
You just said that Andrew Luck won it. He was second in division.
He won it by himself the year before. Andrew Luck won it by himself the year before. Phillip Rivers has not done that.
Yeah, I didn't say he was going to win the division. I said he's better than the Raiders, which you have loved forever for some reason.
I think the Raiders' offense is actually really legit like Jacksonville's.
Even though the Broncos, defensively, I think that they're going to be ahead of the Raiders and be in third. I didn't say they were going to win the division.
Does Kansas City remind you of the Eagles when Andrew Reid was the coach there?
No. You would make that connection.
Consistency-wise.
No.
Consistency-wise.
No.
They're always winning 9,
No,
10, 11
no.
games.
No.
I mean, that's
No.
Andy Reid to a T. Winning
I don't even know why I
10,
had them winning the division. It's just a toss-up. That's the word
because
I got
they
for
have a
that
good defense
division.
and a good offense.
I didn't buy into it then.
Yeah.
I don't buy into it now,
I think
honestly.
Kansas City actually- I
Yes,
think
they
Kansas City
won
good.
what? 6 of the last 7 or something insane.
And they
They won 7 of the last 8. Their defense was ranked 7th last year. Congratulations, that was a very good year. I have them
Andy Reid's
winning the
first year-
division, but I'm not
Andy
thrilled
Reid's
by it.
first year 9 wins. Andy Reid's second year 10 wins. Andy Reid's third year 10 wins. Andy Reid's fourth year 10 wins.
I have them winning the division.
That's consistent.
I'm not thrilled by the situation, but
Moving to the AFC East.
can you just tell me why you hate Phillip Rivers so much before?
It's not that I hate Phillip Rivers.
Why
I
do you
just
hate
think
Phillip Rivers so
I
much?
think that he's
You
not that
hate
good of a
Phillip Rivers
quarterback.
for the same reason that people get on you about Joe Flacco, but you hate Phillip Rivers.
Joe Flacco wins.
Occasionally.
Joe Flacco's teams are always in the games they lose. Always. The Ravens are always in
How many
they
games
lose.
last year did I say to Phillip Rivers it wasn't his fault that they didn't win? It was more than one.
Oh, I said, how many games? What did I tell you about Andrew Luck? I expect them to win the division because of how good Andrew Luck is. If
The
Phillip
Ravens
Rivers-
didn't win too many games last year.
Yeah, I understand that because of injuries all around them.
Because of injuries. They always lost by like 3
And I'll give
points.
you. Yeah,
It was the
because
same
They
situation.
had the most injuries in the NFL history. But and I'll give you. Hold on.
Great.
Phillip Rivers
Great.
lost Keenan Allen, his best receiver. I'm a huge Keenan Allen fan, and I really like Manti Te'o on the defensive side of the ball for
Stop. Cut. Next division.
the Chargers.
Cut.
The AFC East.
I mean, I said Manti Te'o. Mr. Catfish. Is this girl going to be playing?
Leads the team in tackles.
He's
But
probably
that's all people remember.
Ooh, congratulations. You just said there's nobody on that team, so I mean, is that an accomplishment then?
He can't take him to the playoffs. Neither can Phillip Rivers, though.
You can't even find a woman.
He has a girlfriend now. He posts pictures with her on Instagram. She's real. Moving on quickly to the AFC East. Now, can we tackle this a little bit team by team because of how interesting every team is separated? Like, you look at New England, the first 4 games might be a struggle because they're actually an interesting first 4 games, plus Garoppolo hasn't looked all that in sync in practice and in training camp and in playoff or preseason games. I apologize. I know it's just preseason, but even in practice, he doesn't look all that in sync with them. Can I say something about Tom Brady? Tom Brady went 72 for 100 in a scrimmage against the Bears. Okay, he went 25 for 25 in a scrimmage against the Patriots' #1 defense. Tom Brady's on a mission this year. He went 7 of 9 in a preseason game and a touchdown in 1 drive just to prove that he can do it. Tom Brady's going to come back after those first 4 games and be a man possessed, and it's going to be incredible to watch.
I really could give a shit what he did in scrimmage. Can we just end it on the fact that it's Tom Brady if you really would just want to say it? You don't need it, like, who
It's
cares?
still impressive. It's still
That means
impressive. The
zero
ball
to
didn't hit
me.
the ground
It
in
means
one of
zero
them.
to
The ball
me.
didn't hit the ground in one of them.
That's cute.
That's Dwight. That's impressive. I don't care if it's a scrimmage.
You
That's
should
impressive.
care because it means nothing.
It's still impressive. It
It
doesn't
means
mean
nothing.
It's
It means
it's
nothing.
impressive.
Dak Prescott's been impressive too. Is he going to do anything this year? You're probably going to say no. Carry on.
Is he going to do anything if he throws the ball to Witten and Dez? Yeah, because Dez is unstoppable like Gronk.
Oh, please.
But they need to rely on Elliott if that happens.
Anyway, you're not going to be saying that. You're not going to be impressed with
Okay, so New England's the best team in that division, far and above. Do we have to say anything more about them?
No.
The next
it's
team.
it's their division to win. It's their conference to win, frankly, because of the fact that Peyton Manning is no longer there to be that guy that's just going to haunt them. He's not there anymore, so it's there for them to take it. It's their conference to win. Period.
Yeah, the whole conference.
It's not even a conversation.
The other team that I like in that division, I said I had 3 teams fighting for the 2 wild card spots. I had Jacksonville and I had Oakland fighting for the wild card spots. I got the Jets fighting with them. I like the Jets offense, man.
Jets are very good.
I like the Jets offense. They got a good running back in Powell.
They finally got it right and got Fitzpatrick back, which
2
they
guys,
should have done from the
2
beginning.
good wide receivers. They got Fitzpatrick. And then, boom, you look at the other side of the ball. Defense is what they base themselves on.
4th ranking defense.
Revis is there. So they're going to be, I think they're going to be right there in the mix. Miami and Buffalo are both going to be toss-ups. I like Tannehill. You know, Tannehill has the second most yards in the first 4 seasons of a player.
That's cool. He was too up and down and inconsistent for me last year.
I like
He's got a lot. Speaking of a lot to prove, he has a lot to prove because 2 years ago,
better weapons around him. And if Arian Foster stays healthy, Arian Foster's
2 years ago he was fantastic.
Yes.
Last year he was this.
He was wavy last year. I agree.
He
won them 2 games completely on his own though, and he has better weapons this year.
So
their defense has to get a little better. They're not going to compete in the division or anything because of it. They might compete for a wild card, maybe if things fall in place for them. But that's going to fall out on Tannehill and their defense overall.
I have them last in the division.
Really, you have Buffalo finishing before them?
Absolutely. Actually, I have Buffalo finishing in second, which is kind of difficult because
Buffalo was only a game out of the playoffs last year, so I'm not against Buffalo. I have Buffalo finishing last, but I think the last 3 teams you can shake up, like I said, and just throw them on a table in this one too.
I definitely can't see them in last place. The thing I like about Buffalo, I mean, I'm kind of running on that bandwagon that I had last year with them, but at the same time, I think their defense
the Ryan brothers.
I think they need to be better. Oh, the Ryan brothers are just...
They're going to be fun working as a tandem this year. That's going to be awesome.
2 of the most overrated coaches in the past 10 years in the NFL. As far
very
as
good defense coordinators. Both very
great.
good defense
coordinators.
Yeah,
ask the Saints about that.
Touche.
Yeah. Anyway, that's why Jerry Jones cut him too. Their defense was ranked 19th last year, and considering how great they're supposed to be, I would expect that to be much higher.
Tyrod Taylor's fun.
He bought out, and they got
Sean McCoy stays healthy.
McCoy's coming back. He had a very good year last year.
Watkins stays healthy.
Offensively, I think that
Robert
they can be second in the conference or in the division, I should say. But defensively, I want to see them get better. If they have these coaches that are supposed to be as great as they supposedly are, I'd expect better than 19th. Much better.
Well, we'll see where that goes with them. So we both agree though. Like, I mean, I'm not asking. I'm just throwing my playoff teams out there quick. Like, I think it's going to be the Jets, the Oakland Raiders, and Jacksonville competing for a wild card. We both agree though that the Patriots are definitely going to win the division. You got the Colts winning the division. Kansas City winning the division, right?
Yeah.
And who was the other division? Why am I going nuts?
Steelers.
Oh, and the Steelers, right? So I think at the end of it, though, it's going to be the Steelers and the Patriots competing for the AFC, and I think the Patriots are going to win the AFC.
I think the only thing that we're really disagreeing on outside of the Phillip Rivers situation is I don't see Jacksonville and Oakland competing for that spot. I'd see the Jets.
But you got the Bills and the Jets, okay?
I see the Jets or the Bills competing.
I mean, they could both win the wild.
Much better teams. I just believe in that situation a heck of a lot more.
Okay, well, I think Kansas City is going to be interesting to watch this year. They're going to have to. There's like that elite level with Pittsburgh and New England right now, right? Where I think Kansas City's going to have to Kansas City and the Colts both are going to be competing right behind them. And I think we have a shot, but it's just not going to. Those 2 teams are just way too good. So I'm taking New England to the Super Bowl.
I don't disagree. I'm not going to argue it. I mean, we already said that it's their conference to lose at this point. Denver, like we said, Denver's out the equation. There's really no excuse at this point unless, it's just a fluke play or something like a turnover that removes them from it. Yep. Outside of, fluky things like injuries or messed up play, it's their conference to lose.
Yep. So, moving on from the AFC, we both have Patriots winning the AFC, going to the Super Bowl. To find out who we got coming from the NFC, if you were to break it down, I think we would both agree the NFC is the much tougher conference. The AFC, it's good. The Patriots, you got a couple teams here, the Steelers, whatnot. The NFC is much stronger, top to bottom, I would say.
It's the most competitive.
Cam, want to start off going with the NFC South. Cam, last year, I've said before the season that I thought the Panthers were going to win the NFC South.
That's when I infamously walk off.
Yes, it is. And nobody ever won the the NFC South back-to-back years before. Cam, he took that step in the direction that ever since I said in college, I said that he could redefine the position or be a different version of the position, something we've never seen before. He took a step in that direction the last 10 games or so last year. He brought them back. He was the man in a couple games.
He was.
They were undefeated at one point. They lost 1 game in the regular season. Outside of the 1 play in the Super Bowl, he really had an amazing season overall. You can't really point to too many things throughout fault. He didn't have, his top wide receiver. Their defense, you can't talk, you could talk all day about their defense. I think that Carolina's probably going to win the division again. They did lose Josh Norman. Now, I do think that they can overcome losing Josh Norman because they felt like they were good before him. They feel like they're going to be fine without him. Let me put it in perspective, and I'll let you put your take on it because obviously we have different opinions here.
Go ahead.
As an Eagles fan, I watched Kirk Coleman for 5 years struggle from play to play to play to play. Anytime there was a big play given up, Kirk Coleman was a couple steps behind that play for the Eagles secondary. I mean, it was almost every single time, or he was good for a 15-yard penalty. It was incredible. He was just so bad at times. He looked good with the Panthers secondary last year. I think that is more of a scheme thing. I think the Panthers feel it's more of a scheme thing. They have a consistently good defense from year to year to year, especially since Luke Kuechly's been in the league. Cam has been their consistent offense, and now they're going to get some players back. Keep that defense off the field a little bit. So even if they do feel like, yes, Norman was that good, at the same time, they feel like they can kind of maybe, especially if they're keeping the defense off the field a little bit, mask if it is that bad. Yes, no.
Should they feel that way though?
Their front seven's really good. Their front seven
is that that whole next man up thing that I can't.
They feel like their front seven's good enough that's making all their cornerbacks look good, and it's going to be rush throws and bad, things.
I don't know if you
don't have to work as much. And
Norman's
good. Norman was good. Norman won them a game on his own.
He
He made 2 big picks, and one was on the last play of the game in the end zone, if I'm not mistaken. At one point, he was incredible last year.
I just don't know. Like I said, I don't like the whole next man up thing. I don't like the whole we have a scheme and we have a system in place where all the players play so well that we can overcome the talent of somebody as great as Norman was in our system. I don't buy into that. I think that they're going to miss it somewhat. I think they'll still be dominant. I think they're still going to win the division. I think the defense is still going to be a threat, but you do have to somewhat take a step back when you lose a talent like that. Ask the Seahawks when they lost, what's his name, and they weren't the same defensively until he came back. My man was holding out on a contract last year. Yes, ask the Seahawks about Chandler last year when he was holding out and they weren't the same. Then he came back. Whichever, yeah.
I know what you're saying.
It's the same scenario. Like, yes, we have a system. Yes, we have a great group of guys. But when you have a talent like that,
he pieces it together.
Absolutely, and I think that they're going to suffer just a little bit. I think they're destined to fall off a little bit. They were really great last year. They were fantastic last year defensively. Cam did his thing. He was great. I still don't like their wide receiver situation whatsoever.
I like Calvin Benjamin.
Fair enough, but
Greg Olsen, and then you got Tegan, who played really well.
I think it's unrealistic to
Funches, who played well towards the end of the season. I know what you're saying.
I think it's unrealistic to have the same standards for them last year.
Stewart's still Stewart. I understand. I don't think they're going to win 15 games this year.
No, they're going to be great. They're going to win the division. They can potentially compete for the conference, but I think it's going to step down.
I wouldn't be shocked at all if they went to the Super Bowl. I wouldn't be shocked in any way, shape, or form. How good they played last year and how good they can play this year.
Neither would I, but I think it's going to
a surprise team. I think a team that's going to step up and be really good this year because of the quarterback situation. Tampa Bay. I think Jameis is going to be far and away the next guy. He's going to be with the Cam Newtons, the Andrew Lucks, the Russell Wilsons. I think we're going to be talking about him.
I'm glad you said that.
In that realm. Oh, I'm a Russell Wilson. I think the Russell Wilson's in that top elite class. I think that.
I'm glad you said that because I'm curious. So.
I mean, Ben, Brady, they're all in it too. But.
So with Jameis.
Yeah.
He had a great rookie year.
Yeah, I think it's going to be.
He overshot my expectations. You don't think that he's going to have that second year situation like the Cam did, like RG3 did?
What did I tell you going into? Well, RG3 was due to injury. What did I tell you going into Jameis's rookie year? And you said he's got to prove it. You didn't disagree with me because you just said you didn't really know who he was or you watch him much, but you just said he has to prove it.
And he still has to prove it.
And I understand what you're saying, but his football smarts. I have never seen somebody with the football smarts that he has, and that whole entire season last year was incredible. All they did was get better around him. I think that he's taking the next step. He's understanding defenses even more in the NFL. Like I said, his football smarts are so good. I really think that they are going to take that next step. They got a little better on defense as well, which they really needed to do. I mean, they score 24 to 30 points a game. They can realistically win 9, 10, maybe 11 games.
Which is impressive. For them, it's very good.
And I think it all stems around the things that he can do and how good of a quarterback he is. If he can get his accuracy on point, which I think he's worked on, but his accuracy is going to be his biggest thing. And that's still Cam's biggest issue. So, that style of quarterback, and I think Jameis is more of a pocket passer than Cam is, but Jameis can still move a little bit, and he's got that, he's got that more Ben Roethlisberger mobility than anything.
Fair enough.
And he can just got a little quicker feet, I think, but not much.
I mean, historically, second-year quarterbacks, they tend to struggle with it, especially
a little bit.
I think they're going to be second in the division.
Andrew Luck took a step in his second year, though.
I think they're going to be second in the division, but I think it's kind of. We just got to wait and see with him in his situation. I don't want to get in a situation where we're saying he's going to have another great year because chances are he's not going to, but I think that they're going to be good enough to be second in the division.
The Saints and Atlanta, neither of them have good defenses. Both of them, I love both offenses. I love Fleener as a tight end in New Orleans. I like Michael Thomas, the rookie wide receiver in New Orleans. I like Willie Snead. I like their top guy, Brandon Cooks. I really like the Saints offense. Mark Ingram, I'm not a huge fan of him as your number one running back, but Drew Brees, you can't talk enough about him. Their defense is pathetic. In Atlanta, Julio Jones, I like Atlanta's offense a lot as well. Friedman was the best fantasy player in all football last year. That's incredible. That means he was doing his thing.
Here's the thing.
Defense is garbage.
I kind of have one question for you, and my answer is both. But do you think which one is more done than the other? Like as far
teams,
the Falcons had such a great run. Obviously, the Saints, they had a great enough run that they went to a Super Bowl, they won. Which one do you think is more done than the other? Because honestly, I think they're both done.
Are you asking who gets to the playoffs?
No,
Matt
I'm saying
Ryan or Drew Brees before their career's over with those teams? Is that basically what you're trying to say?
Sure. I'm going with I think the Saints are more
done.
I think they're more done than
I was
going
to say the Falcons are more done, but the reason I would say the Falcons are more done is because they're not stable at the coaching position and at the top of their team, and they give up
the Saints are stable too, but that didn't mean a whole lot last year either.
No, I think the Saints are stable. I don't think the Falcons are. That's my thing. My thing with the Saints are they brought in a new defensive system this year, and their talent is miserable in the defensive end.
Right.
But I think their wide receiving core, as good as Atlanta's is at the top, it's really bad at 3, 4, 5, and 6. And you look at wide receiving core on the other side. I think they have 5 good wide receivers and a better tight end. I would go with the Saints as the team that would be able to compete more than Atlanta.
I would love to say the Saints just because of Brees alone, but
I like Brees.
I honestly think it's pretty much jumping.
I
have the Saints last in the division behind the Falcons.
I do too. I have the Falcons actually beating the Saints out for.
I think I was always especially last year. I was very high on the Falcons. I love their offense. I love Matty Ice.
Second in the division.
I think they should, at some point, have competed for a Super Bowl, at least a chance to get in the Super Bowl. And they could never seem to do it.
Their defense was never good.
And that's why I think that they're done at this point because I feel like it's just over.
Remember when they beat the Seahawks in the playoffs? Russell Wilson's rookie year, and then they lost to, I want to say, I forget, they lost on the last play of the game. Matt Ryan missed Tony Gonzalez, and Tony Gonzalez's last play was wide open in the end zone in the NFC Championship. Who were they playing?
I don't remember. I wish we had a stat boy.
I want to say it's... I forget who Atlanta was playing in the NFC Championship, but they missed Tony Gonzalez on the last play of the game.
Definitely, yes.
Anyways, that was the last time Atlanta was good, and their defense wasn't even all that good then.
They never were that good, honestly.
Moving to the NFC North, which is an interesting division. Jordan Nelson comes back, so you have to just assume Green Bay is the best team in it, right?
Definitely.
Can I give you a shocker?
You going Minnesota?
I think that Chicago can compete with Minnesota for second in that division.
Stop it. No, why?
I think their coaching's not that bad, and I think their defense is better this year. And
One word, Cutler.
I think Jay Cutler gets hated on a lot more.
And deservingly shot. So.
See, that's the thing. Okay.
Trent Dilfer got to a Super Bowl too.
Jay Cutler didn't get to a Super Bowl.
Okay, well then even worse. Yes, he did.
Jay Cutler never got to a Super Bowl.
The Bears were in the Super Bowl. Who was the quarterback?
Rex Grossman.
God.
Jay Cutler was the Bears quarterback. Remember they traded for Jay Cutler that offseason?
I don't remember. Okay, fine.
That's when they lost to Peyton and the Colts.
Okay, well. You're really going to sit here and defend Jay Cutler then?
I think that Jay Cutler is actually a decent quarterback.
But Phillip Rivers is trash?
I think Jay Cutler is a little better than Phillip Rivers, actually.
Oh my God. Somebody cancel the show. We're done. Nobody ever watch this again. I'm done with you.
I think as a quarterback, I was always more of a Jay Cutler fan than I was a Phillip Rivers fan.
God.
I think Jay Cutler has more talent.
Why? What talent? He can throw a deep ball. Is it accurate though?
Jay Cutler.
It's like having like a 90.
Jay Cutler had some years.
Jay Cutler's got like that 90 deep ball passing. in Madden, but then he has like a 70% completion rating.
Jay Cutler, I think, did his thing in Denver. I think he hasn't gotten it together. He almost got it together in Chicago for about 2 or 3 years there.
1 year.
Learning a new offense.
Maybe 2 years.
So my thing is that I still think Minnesota can be the second team in the division and probably should be the second team in the division.
I got them second, yes.
Their offense is taking steps forward. I think Bridgewater's taking steps forward, but mainly their defense, man. Their defense is legit.
The defensive is phenomenal. It was fantastic last year. And I want to see more out of Bridgewater. I hope he continues his development. Isn't it his second year as well?
Yeah.
So
no, it's his third.
His third, but third year you would hope that he kind of gets his feet under him, and we're going to see how he's going to be moving forward. I want to see more out of him. I hope he does well.
I think he played really good last 3
Adrian Peterson's coming back
last year, got them to the point that and that's going to be incredible. My question mark is around Detroit. Okay, so somebody brought this to my attention the other day, and I haven't had to sit down and think about it. I haven't had enough time to really sit down and ponder this well enough to give a good answer, and I think it's going to be fun to watch throughout the year. I don't like Matthew Stafford, right? I have him on my Phillip Rivers list that I just don't think he's all that good.
I don't know why, but
he has a lot of talent. He has a lot of talent, but I don't really like him. Just like Phillip Rivers.
They can't all win. Go ahead.
Is he going to be better without Megatron?
No.
But he feels like he had to throw the ball to Megatron.
That's a conversation?
He feels like he had to throw the ball to Megatron X amount of times.
Name 2 more weapons he has.
Golden Tate, who balled out last year and the year before. And Eric Ebron's a pretty good tight end.
No. There's no way. I can't. Again, it's a situation where I can't see you losing a talent like a Megatron.
I like their running backs.
No. I mean, the running game, yes. The running game did very well last year for them.
Yeah,
and in certain games,
out of the back
yes, absolutely. He was very good. I actually picked him on my fantasy team last year because my running back situation, I was 4 deep.
He can catch the ball out of the backfield, too.
Yeah, right. Exactly. That's why I picked him up. But, no. Oh, my God, no. Better without Megatron, though?
Him as a quarterback, as a football player, will he make more better decisions? Will he not try to force it to Megatron?
To me, that's just disrespectful to Megatron.
Now he doesn't feel like he's forcing it to Megatron. Now he can kind of spread the ball out a little more now. Is the possibility there?
No, because at the end of the day, who are you going to give it to? At the end of the day, you
spread it around. That's the point.
At the end of the day, you have Megatron to depend on. At the end of the day, now, who do you depend on?
Golden Tate. I think Golden Tate's going to be the guy that he throws to the most out of all of them guys.
But tell me, let's call up Stafford right now and say, who would you rather have in a clutch game situation now?
Obviously, everyone's going to say Megatron. Okay, so, but we both agree that Green Bay, look, the thing I like about Green Bay and consistent about them, you can really, I know people kind of bounce on Lacy a little bit, but Starks is a good backup. But you have Rodgers, Nelson, and Eddie Lacy. Like, those are 3 adequate names and 3 adequate positions. I think, like, they're building that, you know what I mean, the consistent team that's there every year. Their offense is going to be legit. I think their defense every year is just good enough. I always say every year, oh, the Packers defense is scary. They end up being just good enough, though. Every year they end up being just good enough.
They're good enough because of Aaron Rodgers.
Aaron Rodgers is magical. He has a just incredible offensive talent. He probably might be the best pocket quarterback in the league right now. I still think Cam's probably the better player overall, but I mean it's a different debate for a different day.
It's completely different. I can't see Green Bay and an Aaron Rodgers led team losing a division back-to-back years. I think that's impossible.
I agree with that. I think they win the division.
Yeah, we're in agreement with this one.
So what about the NFC West? A new team, but not really a new team. The LA Rams back on the West finally. They were in St. Louis for so long, and they were still in the West. It's kind of odd. They're going to end up dead last in that division. Actually, I think they end up third.
I got them third.
Because of their defense.
Yes, definitely. We're on the same page. Yes.
Question marks.
It's the same reason I got Denver third in their division.
My only issue, and the only reason I have San Francisco finishing dead last in that division is because they can't get a quarterback out there, and the guy that Chip Kelly wants to play quarterback doesn't want to play quarterback for them. Hence, a lot of people are starting to think this national anthem situation with the said quarterback is more of a ploy to get the team to cut him.
We have to go here, you know this, right? We can't just not talk about it.
Colin Kaepernick should not have sat for the national anthem. I think it was the wrong move. But I like that he wants to raise awareness to an idea that he has, an issue that he has, and that was his way of doing it. Do I disagree with the way he did it? Absolutely. Do I think that there's more positive ways to probably get your message across? Yes, but he felt like his Twitter messages, which you can attest to, he says a lot of things on Twitter about this issue, so not against him making a stand in a public way. My issue is more on the American people and the way that they have reacted to it. He did this in street clothes the first 2 games, so now he has pads and a jersey.
Oh, so you tell me he didn't stand up before?
No, 2 games. 2 games. First 2 games, yep. Right, so now we have an issue.
I didn't hear anything about it.
He's in pads and a jersey. Now it's an uproar. I agree. I think that is an issue in and of itself. Why did you not care before? And that just shows me that everyday people are against things like the national anthem and things that, yes, I agree, you shouldn't be against the national anthem because of the way that he feels about that topic, but that was his way of expressing it, and we live in a free country, so go ahead, do what you can do, bud. Like, I don't think that should affect my day, I don't think it should affect your day. The only thing it should really affect is what he's trying to send a message to, instead of put a really bad negative light just on him and not really on the message. It's just another hard-cutting topic between,
race,
white people,
and everybody else.
And it's
look.
It's hard.
You said it, and I want to drive this point a second time. He should have been standing.
Yes,
we all agree with that.
Definitely should have stood. That's not gonna.
At the same time,
I
understand.
Not the point.
At least have somewhat of an understanding or respect or appreciation for the message he was trying to get for the topic he was talking about. Like you said, I checked his Facebook or his Twitter earlier today, and he's been very consistent for at least the past month because I got tired of going through it. He's been very consistent with what he's retweeting. It's about these issues that he sees in America, and he felt like he was making a stance quietly. They say, and I say they, and we all know who they are. We can't protest violently. Okay, fine, makes sense. Don't riot. You can't be quiet either and, just peacefully make a stance and sit down and make that type of a statement without getting criticized. So what are you supposed to do? Because clearly you can't do one extreme, you can't do this other extreme. So what are you supposed to do? Should he have stood up? Yes, absolutely. But then if he stands up and doesn't put his hand over his heart like Gabby Douglas in the Olympics, then we're coming at him because of that. Meanwhile, the U.S. shot put team, we got first and second place, and 2 white guys, they stood up, they didn't put their hand over their heart either. And nobody said shit about that. I don't want to make it a race thing or a sex thing, but read between the lines, people. Hello. Yes, he's a guy that was adopted by 2 white people. That doesn't mean that he doesn't understand the struggle of others.
Or feel it.
That means he's supposed to just turn a blind eye to it?
Here's my thing is that
I don't get it.
In the 60s, I live like a hippie kind of lifestyle. Peace, love, and happiness. I think everybody should do their own thing. Whatever makes you happy, as long as you're respectful.
I wish that was realistic, but I respect it.
Open doors and things like that. Okay, so here's my thing, right? The hippies in the 60s, mainly white people, now I'm not saying there wasn't of color of it, because they accept everybody, they were against the Vietnam War, right? Now, they were against the flag. They were not standing and stuff like that. Now, I personally, because I have cousins and grandfathers and people all throughout, and just respect for the military, that I would never personally want to sit down and disrespect the people who defended that flag in this country. But like I've said a couple times about this topic in other forums, that's a whole different topic for a different day of why I think he should have stood. Like the fact that he didn't stand.
We're not arguing that. I need to drop that point a third time.
Right, exactly. The fact that he didn't stand, like, I would look at him and I'd be like, man, stand up. But like, he got people talking about what he wanted them to get talking about. So we can be angry at him all he wants, but he lives in the same free country we do. Just because we don't agree with his idea of how he wanted to get his opinion across, I'm not against the opinion, but even if I was against the opinion, I'm not against him exercising his freedom, because that's kind of the fun part about living in America.
I'm going to say it one more time. Number 4, he should have stood, because I know people are going to listen to this and they're going to come at us for some type of way.
100,000 times, yes.
And that's bullshit. For the 5th and 6th, 10th millionth time, he should have stood. Should have stood up. But at the end of the day, I also think, as a society as a whole, white people, we need to step back for 5 minutes. Can you at least understand where he's coming from and why he's outraged? No, instead we want to say, okay, well, what about black on black?
It's not about the action that he took. It was about the actions that are happening and why he took them.
Instead of saying we need to do better, we want to now come at him because he didn't stand up. Now we're saying he's a this, he's a that, he's a every word in the book, he needs to get out the country.
To your point, he didn't do it violently. He sat down. He sat down. And a lot of people, and I try to say this all the time, a lot of people don't care if if you were to do this, right, and say you did it for this reason. And if somebody just Joe Schmo on the bus wouldn't stand up, whatever, right? People don't care. But he's in that 1 percentile, right? He's in that 1 percentile of everybody knows who you are and everybody sees you. And when he was wearing plain clothes and it looked like he wasn't in the 1 percentile, nobody cared that he wasn't standing. But then he was in the 1 percentile with a jersey on and pads in an NFL stadium, and he's the only one not standing. And people are like, oh, it's such a problem. But like, it's just.
Oh, it's a problem. So you're telling me you're not going to watch football then? You're protesting the NFL.
That's my other thing is that like, what is your issue with him wanting to fix something that he feels is wrong in his life? Okay, like.
Okay, yes, I get it. His parents are white. I get it, and they have money. That doesn't mean that he doesn't understand or feel the pain that other people are going through. He's making a statement in his own way.
I think that we should treat white, black, Puerto Rican, Asian, purple, cats, dogs, everybody with respect, right? So if I'm standing on the side of somebody, being racist and me being like, hey, don't be racist, that doesn't mean like I'm this, that, and the next thing, or I can't understand it because I'm not black. Like, that doesn't make any sense to me. Like, he can still he is half black partially, but on top of it, he can still understand. Even if he wasn't half black, he would still be able to understand that he feels like that is an issue in America that he feels like he can change in a certain way.
Just because he's a African American that makes so much money, that doesn't mean that he's exempt from
understanding that's what I was saying
anything.
about the 1 percentile thing. Just because he's in the 1 percentile, what does that have to do with his views and opinions? Like,
how about we just step back, understand where he's coming from, or at least have a respect for what he was trying to go with. Should he have done it differently? Sure, I'm with you on that. But
should your views and opinions change just because you're making a lot of money? Like you
apparently.
you would
fall in line when you make money.
As you're sitting as you're sitting there saying, oh, he makes so much money, so what does it matter? Like, if you were making a lot of money, would you feel differently about the situation than you feel right now? Then, like, that's basically what you're trying to say. It doesn't make any sense to me.
We got on Michael Jordan because he was quiet and never made any political stances.
Right.
This is a black man in America
that
wants to make a stand and say something. This is Dwayne Wade saying, we need to stop killing each other.
Yeah.
And that's a problem. Everything's a problem. People got on those NBA players at the ESPYs making a statement.
Yes.
But this is what they're making a stance because they think that it's broken.
Where was the outrage there? Where was the outrage then that they were standing up and doing that right in the beginning of the ESPYs?
There was a ton of outrage. I saw it.
Well, and
I saw it.
Doesn't make any sense.
It's broken. You want to see You want to see why he didn't stand up? Go on Twitter and look up #Kaepernick. Mind you, they didn't even spell his name correctly.
Spell it wrong.
And see the ignorant, belligerent, disrespectful racial things that they say about him.
Does he even make the 49ers roster, though? That's the worst part about it right now.
And he wasn't going to beforehand.
He doesn't want to, I think. That's the thing. He wants to get cut. And I don't think they're going to cut him. I think they're going to keep him on the roster.
And then you got those people who think that that's why he's doing it. It's just like...
Right. That's a big thing.
Like,
people are really saying
that. Have some respect for him. I mean, shout out to him for at least trying. I don't think he did in the right way, but
right, we agree.
He's trying to do something. And that's a lot more than what a lot of these people are doing.
Use your platform. I am okay with players
wearing
shirts and warm-ups of basketball. I am okay with him sitting down. Do I want him to sit down? Absolutely not. Do I think he should sit down? Absolutely not. But I'm okay with players using their forum to stand up for things that they believe in, whether I believe in it or not. Personally, the fact that they are able to is part of the reason that I love living in this country, and it's part of the reason that I like that they are 1%, so they do get to be seen. So yes, like people get mad at like you said, Michael Jordan. People get mad at Jay-Z and Beyonce, or people get mad at you're not doing enough.
Let's not even go there. Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like it's like get out of here. Like get out of here. Let them.
Look, as great as this country is, at the end of the day, let's stop pretending that this is as flawless a country as we like to pretend it is, because it's not.
Yes.
And issues as a society, we need to realize that we have our issues, and here's somebody that's saying, look, we need to address them. How about we just step back for 5 seconds?
Okay, so quickly, back to football, right? One of the better teams in the entire NFC. A lot of people are picking this team to go to the Super Bowl. Arizona, I mean, their offense is lethal. Their defense is incredible. Their secondary is unbelievable.
But they were blowing out 49-15 at the Panthers.
Ooh, Carolina was that good.
49-15.
Carolina was that good last year.
I was high on Arizona last year. As much as I want to say that they're going to be in that mix,
I have them second in the division.
You can't. Yeah, I don't. Well, so do I. But I don't. You're not going to fool me again and say I'm not going to sit here and say, well, they're going to be Carolina. Prove it now. You got smacked around. You have a lot. They have a lot to prove now at this point because they got embarrassed.
I think they're good. I think they're going to be really good all year. I think their offense is
definitely
really, really good. I think their defense is incredible. I think that the Seahawks win the division.
So do I.
And I think the Seahawks win the division because of one man.
Who's that?
Russell Wilson.
I heard some stuff about him last year. Then people want to try and tell us that he wasn't.
The last 8 games of the season, Russell Wilson.
He won 6 of the last 7.
He was the best quarterback from the pocket. 30 8 touchdowns in 8 games from the pocket, 1 interception. It was incredible what he did last year. That's with Doug Baldwin as his best wide receiver.
Yeah.
Thomas Rawls was his running back. I mean, he was incredible. Didn't even use Jimmy Graham. He was unbelievable. Barely used his feet. The only thing that I think the Cardinals have an advantage and edge on, okay?
What's that?
They're the first team in
Palmer.
modern history to bring back every player who touched the ball on offense last year. Every single player who touched the ball on offense last year is coming back. They didn't bring any new faces in. They didn't lose anybody. That's never happened in the NFL.
That's a lot of confidence.
That's incredible. So you don't get that ever in the NFL, more or less, especially in 2016. So that would be the only reason I think Arizona would be able to overtake Seattle. But I just think Russell Wilson is that good. And I cannot stand Pete Carroll. I'm a Notre Dame fan. Me and Pete Carroll have a bad rivalry that I'll never be able to get over. We're just always going to hate each other. He's incredible, and he's going to do the things that he does with that defense. He's going to put them right back in position. I think that they are the number 1 or 2 seed in the NFC again. They're going to compete with Green Bay and Carolina as the number 1 or 2 seed, honestly.
They're definitely in the mix. Both them and Arizona going to duke it out, obviously, in that division. I do have Seattle getting a slight edge over them. Just because I feel like Arizona has a lot to prove in my eyes.
But it wouldn't shock me if Arizona ended up being the number 1 team in that division because of that stat that I said. Plus, their defense is incredible. That secondary is lights out.
They just have too much to prove for me right now, and we're not gonna know where they stand until the end of the year.
Go through a couple games, and we'll see where they start going.
You got to the end of the year with me.
You're absolutely right.
You're gonna have to be there in the end and win for me to be like, okay, respect, you're here, and did exactly what you were supposed to do last year, and you failed miserably.
So the LA Rams, the last thing I wanted to put on them because we're talking about the West. I'm interested to see what they do at quarterback position. Like they have really good wide receivers. Not really good. They have decent wide receivers, but I like Tavon Austin, and they have obviously really good running back. I'm excited. I'm interested to see what they do with Keenum and Jared Goff. Anyways, moving forward,
they better do something
to the last division, but not the least division.
I don't know about the least.
The most wide open division.
The most trash division.
If Romo wasn't hurt, the Cowboys win 13.
Sure. I'm not going to be that Cowboys fan that says that, but
they're
sure.
the best team in the NFC East if Romo's healthy.
Hands down.
Des Bryant is I think Rob Gronkowski and Des Bryant are the 2 most unstoppable players in the NFL.
Absolutely. I'm good with that. I think Des Bryant's the best wide receiver in the game.
I think Antonio Brown's right there with them. No, I think Antonio Brown is right there with him. I think they are number 1.
It's 1 and 1A, yeah. I'm cool with that.
But I do think that Julio and Odell are right there behind them, too. But Antonio Brown, with Ben, is probably as unstoppable as Dez and Gronk, but I think Dez and Gronk, with you or I as the quarterback, are the most unstoppable players on the planet. They are just monsters. Monsters.
Unbelievable.
So the next step is Ezekiel Elliott. With that incredible offensive line who's just throwing people around. And I know you hate preseason, but in preseason, just tossing everybody in front of them.
Right.
Witten looked good.
That's not even a conversation. Yeah.
Tony Romo made 3 snaps.
And he got hit one time, and then...
I heard he might be out for a week. I heard he might be out for 2 weeks. I heard he might be out for 6 to 10 weeks.
I'm thinking he needs to be out for the rest of his career.
So you think he's done? You think he should retire off things like this?
He's not going to. He's gonna get through this season. I think after this season, he needs to really take a...
healthy?
I don't know. I don't know.
All
at this
year
point,
long.
at this point, it's a no because
Every conversation.
It took 1 hit and he went out. I think he legitimately, after the season is over, he needs to look at himself and be genuine with himself and be like, look, do I want to walk away with a limp and be paralyzed or something for the rest of my days? He's got a family. He's got his own livelihood to worry about. He needs to take a look at himself and stop worrying about the team. As much as I want him to be around, as much as I respect him as a player and grown to love him as our quarterback, he needs to check his health now because now it's a problem. It was already a problem, but now you're telling me you came back after missing almost an entire year last year for a back situation, which now they're saying, well, it had nothing to do. This has nothing to do with it. This injury has nothing to do with his other back injuries. Yeah, my ass. Okay, that's too convenient.
Still
for
not
me.
good.
It's still convenient. It's too inconvenient.
Still another injury.
If he's healthy, are they the best team in the division?
By far.
Absolutely. It's
By
not even
far.
a conversation to me.
Because even that year that DeMarco was there and they won the division, they won, 12 games that year? Going into that season, they had the worst defense that they had in, 10 years, and everyone was questioning them. Their defense wasn't on the field enough They were stopping teams on third down. It didn't matter how
good.
They weren't bad, but they weren't good.
No, right. It was the middle of the road defense, but it was good enough.
That's how I feel about this defense. I don't think they're good, right? But I think that the way the offense can be structured, they'll make it. Scheme wise, they'll be good enough.
Theoretically, Ezekiel Elliott should be in a position where he's competing for Rookie of the Year behind that offensive line.
Yes.
But without Tony Romo, I don't know if that happens because now the focus is going to be on Zeke because I don't.
Derek McFadden turns into a really big player if Romo's hurt.
Definitely, absolutely.
Dak,
he's.
But what if Dak rattles off 5?
Wait and see.
What if Dak has to play 7 games, right? He rattles off 4 or 5 wins.
Great.
Romo comes back.
He's your starter.
No, I know he's a starter, but I'm saying you're in the position now. You got Romo. You can roll. You can still win 10 games. 10 games wins that division. Kirk Cousins isn't going to be all that good. As good as he was last year, he led the league in accuracy. Can he do that again? Honestly,
I don't know. The division is so wide open. It was trash last year, and now with Dallas in the situation that they're in, I don't think it's going to be good this year.
If Romo stays healthy, the Dallas wins the division. If Romo does not stay healthy, right, I have going Washington,
Dallas.
If Romo doesn't stay healthy, if Romo's hurt, no, I got Washington, and then I have all the other teams missing the playoffs like last year. I got the Eagles and the Giants and then Dallas if Romo's hurt. If Romo's healthy, Dallas wins the division. Hands down.
Definitely.
I think that the Washington Redskins going out getting Norman in the secondary is going to make their defense a lot better. I think that they still are going to compete for the division. I think they can win 9 games. I just think that only because of Gruden, because I don't know if Kirk Cousins is that good or if Gruden is masking him. My thing is, you always say about the second-year player, this isn't a second year, but it's like a Nick Foles situation. This is going to be his second starting year. Nick Foles hit a wall his second year. Very possible that this happens again. I think it's more scheme that's making him look this good. But if Jackson stays healthy all year, you got Jackson, Pierre Garçon. He has a really good wide receiver, and Matt Jones is a good running back. So
I got them second in the division.
Yeah, their defense is a little better, but I mean.
That's the thing. The entire division, the defense situation is just trash. Yeah, let's get on Philadelphia.
Hold on, their defense is good.
No, they were fifth allowed. They allowed the 5th most points in the league.
Whoa, hold on. Before we start going into what they did last year, because I do understand what you're saying, they were on the field more than anybody else in the history of football last year. Jim Schwartz comes in much better. They actually reamped the defense a lot. Their secondary is ridiculously good. Their secondary is better last year. Their secondary is brand new. Their secondary is so much better this year than they were last year. Their front 7 is incredible. I think they're going to have the best defense in the division. It's just their offense is going to be slacking. And I like what they did with Green Beckham, but I don't think their offensive line is good enough for them to win more than like 6-7 games this year.
I think your offense is going to be horrible. It's going to be miserable. You lost, even though he didn't do anything for y'all. Y'all got rid of DeMarco Murray, and you got a rookie quarterback situation just like we do.
No, they're going to have Bradford. Start the season.
Well, even worse.
He's going to play probably all 16 games as long as he's healthy.
Defensively, again.
This is Bradford's fifth year in the league. This is his 5th offense coordinator. This is his 5th new offensive system. So,
bottom line, where do you have Philly ranked? I have them last in the division.
I have them 3rd in the division. I think they're going to end up ahead of the Giants. Giants have 0 defense. 0.
I could say the same thing about Philly, but
no,
they allowed 5th most points. The Eagles Giants allowed 3rd.
The Eagles defense will be a top 10 defense. As long as injuries don't prevent them, they'll be a top 10 defense in the NFL this year.
Why?
Their secondary is legit, and their front 7. They are literally a top 5 front 7 right now.
So it's basically what people got on me about Cincinnati because everybody was like, "Oh, Cincinnati."
It's their offense that's going to be the issue.
Everybody got on me about Cincinnati because they said, "Oh, yards allowed, doesn't mean a whole lot." But I was like, "Yeah, but they allowed too many points."
Yeah, but the Eagles, that's what I'm saying. Last year, the Eagles gave up a lot of points because they were on the field a lot. They're not going to be on the field as much this year.
Why?
Why? Because Chip Kelly's offense, on average, was on the field for less than 2 minutes to drive. Doug Peterson is more than 5.
Is your offense going to be better than it was last year?
Better? See, here's where this is going to fall. Okay, I like what Sam Bradford did the last 9 games that he started. My thing is the wide receivers was the biggest issue, but you don't have a good offense if you don't have a good offensive line. The Eagles' offensive line is depleted right now. I think if they can figure out something offensive line, yes, I think that they can somehow win 8, maybe 9 games and compete somehow with the division. Because that defense is going to win 6-7 games on its own. That defense is going to win 6.
I think you should be more realistic about getting 6 or 7 wins. I don't know.
They win 6. If the offense isn't any good, they can win 6 because the defense is good enough to win 6.
Damn, that's that Philly optimism I don't understand. Go ahead.
No, they have a really good defense. It's their offense that isn't that good. But
we're going to see.
If their offensive line is better, then I think that they have a shot in the dark. But you got to figure out what's happening. If Green Beckham can step up, he's big and he's got the size and everything. But Matthews, Aguilar, and Huff were not doing it. They were not good last year. So if they are just not good again, then the team has zero shot. I think Ryan Matthews is a good running back, not a great running back, but I think because you have the other two behind him that you're running, they're going to be fine. Like I said, they're going to be competitive this year. But no,
in that division, everybody's going to be competitive.
Exactly.
So.
I think that the Giants are garbage. Everyone's high on Eli Manning. I don't see Eli Manning coming out and being this great substance of
I don't like
whatever. I know it's weird to me. But
I don't like Eli Manning. I think they're.
We'll see.
Honestly, I think the Giants are just as trash as Philadelphia. I understand that you're saying that Philly's defense is good. I don't see it personally, but I think with the Giants and the Eagles, I think it's a toss-up between who's going to be third or fourth. I honestly think, depending on how the Dallas situation goes, I think it's going to go either Dallas or Washington. If Washington can keep some of that momentum that they had last year, I don't know if they do or not. But if they do, then they are absolutely going to win the division without a Tony Romo. But outside of that, Tony Romo comes back. If we can stay afloat, I think Dallas wins.
Think the Eagles were,
and then I think the Giants and Eagles that are trash.
As horrible as the Eagles, as it felt that the Eagles were, and as horrible as you think the Eagles were, they were only a game out of the playoffs last year. Like that's I know, but that's
saying nothing to me.
Yeah, but you're acting
like
they're like a bottom 4 team or something like that. Like
they are. The division was trash, and they were a game out. Congratulations.
I mean,
the entire division was trash.
Yeah, I agree that the division was trash.
And it's still trash, bro. What are you not seeing about that?
On the NFC side of things, right? I think the best teams are Carolina, Seattle, Green Bay, and if Romo stays healthy, Dallas. I don't see Romo staying healthy, so I take them out of it. Green Bay, I don't think Green Bay's defense is good enough to stand with Carolina and Seattle. I have the Patriots going to the AFC, and I have them playing Seattle in a rematch of the Super Bowl from 2 years ago.
That's fine.
Who you got coming out of the NFC?
No clue.
You don't not taking anybody?
No, I don't
know.
I mean, it's a toss-up. There's so many teams that are competing. Then you got the wild card with the Vikings,
the Cardinals, the Vikings.
There's so many
Tampa
teams.
Bay.
This isn't the AFC. There's going to be a lot of teams competing. NFC East is out of the equation. They're all trash.
Whoever wins the division loses in the first round of the playoffs.
Hello. So I don't know. I don't know what happened.
If Romo's healthy, Dallas.
Let's get 4 weeks into the season and I'll make a pick.
So you're not going to pick your Super Bowl winner?
No, it's not like
I got the Patriots winning the Super Bowl.
Now you went out on a limb on that one, didn't you, bro? I was gonna say it's not like the AFC. The AFC clearly you would go with the Patriots.
I got the Patriots winning the Super Bowl.
That's not going out on a limb.
I'm not saying it is. I didn't say it was going out on a limb.
That's what I'm saying.
Making my Super Bowl prediction.
I'm not making a prediction based on common sense. Of course, the Patriots. If you look at it on paper, the Patriots are always in the conversation. Who's in the NFC?
Who's in the NFC? I got Seattle playing them in the NFC.
I mean, maybe. There's too many options. It's too wide open for that.
I think Russell Wilson is going to take that step and be the best player in the NFL this year. As good as I think Cam Newton is, and I think Cam Newton's still a better player, I think Russell Wilson's just going to have one of those.
So you think Russell's going to beat him?
Yeah, I think Russell's going to win the offensive MVP in the or the offensive player of the year in the NFC. But you know who I got for the MVP, the league MVP?
I don't know, and I don't know why we're even having these conversations now. But go ahead.
Tom Brady. Even after missing 4 games, I got him as the MVP of the league. I think he's going to come back just on an absolute tear mission.
That's a stretch.
Beat everything.
That's a stretch.
I think he's going to. I don't think it is.
I think he's going to come back on a tear. I don't think you come back after missing 4 games and come back and win MVP.
I think he wins MVP after 4 games.
What kind of season? What kind of numbers does he have to put up to do that?
I think, I
said, what kind of numbers does he have to put up to even be in that conversation?
The numbers he'll put up this year. I think he's going to find Gronk a lot. I think he'll find Bennett a lot. I think he's going to I think he's going to come out here and just destroy, take them to the...
he's going to. I can't see him in a MVP
So I got Wilson as the NFC Offensive Player of the Year, but I think Cam and Dez can also fall in the Offensive Player of the Year conversation, and Ty Gurley won't be too far behind them.
Dez won't be in it because Romo won't be there.
AFC, I got Amari Cooper as the Offensive Player of the Year in the AFC. I think he's just going to have an absolute monstrous tear of year. Him or Hopkins, but I think Hopkins is going to have competition on his own team with Fuller. I think Fuller gets a lot of balls this year. Defensive MVP, I got Tyrann Mathieu from Arizona, Defensive Player of the Year. In the NFC, I got Tyrann Mathieu, and then the AFC, I got J.J. Watt, just winning it every year because he is the best defensive player on the planet. It's not even close.
It's not even a conversation.
Rookie of the Year in the NFC, I don't want to say it, but I got Ezekiel Elliott. He is a monster. That offensive line is incredible. He is that good.
I'm not holding my breath. I got to see what happens.
I think they should have went with Ramsey. I keep saying that in the draft because I think they should have went with a defensive player. But I do understand they want Romo to try to get that one last run, and Ezekiel Elliott is the best option for that. So This is going to be their guy. This is going to be their year. I think their offensive line is incredible, and I think he is a really, really good talent. So,
like I said, Zeke's going to be in the conversation. I just don't know if he's going to be able to close the deal because the focus is going to be on him to shut him down.
Yeah, in the AFC, I keep saying Will Fuller. I got Will Fuller as the rookie of the year in the AFC. I think he's incredible. Out of Notre Dame, I know it sounds a little biased, but he was unstoppable in college, and he's looked unstoppable in the preseason. I know it's just preseason.
Thank you for clarifying.
Coach of the year, I got Mike McCarthy in the NFC because I just kept drawing question marks, and I didn't want to say Pete Carroll.
Such a hater.
Straight up. And then in the AFC, I got Bill O'Brien out of the Houston Texans because I think he's going to make Brock Osweiler look really good, and I think they might.
You were really into that situation.
I really like Bill O'Brien, man. I really do, and I think he's going to make Brock Osweiler look like a really, really good quarterback. And I like their offense overall. I think Hopkins opens up so much for them.
Buying into him last year didn't really work out.
They won their division with 5 quarterbacks, so it's impressive. It's incredible, and I think Bill O'Brien can do it with 1 this year.
I don't buy into the hype.
So, is that it for the NFL? You don't have anything else to get off your chest with the NFL preview?
Nope.
No?
Nope.
How do you feel about Carson Palmer?
How do I feel? What do you mean how I feel about him? I mean...
I heard you talking a little smack on him earlier. I just want to clarify where you're coming from.
What was I talking smack about him?
You said something about Carson Palmer. You said not with Carson Palmer or something like that.
I don't know what you're talking about.
All right, well...
I like Carson Palmer, but I mean, last year he felt it, and that's why I said I don't know how I feel about the team. I bought into the hype last year, and I was all about them going all the way with that situation. And I'm
still taking the Seahawks too. So
I don't know. I don't know. Defensively, they're great. I just don't know how far they're going to go at this point because they shut down when it mattered most, when they should have won.
Andre Ellington, Chris Johnson, running backs. Fitz and Michael Floyd, wide receivers.
That's cool. I just don't know how far you can go with that. It's just at this situation.
This was a fun NFL preview. I cannot wait for the season.
So we can stop all this hype
This
bullshit.
is where it started. This is what this is all about. This is the 2nd season of JD Sports. I'm so excited for this to happen, Dwight. It's gonna be fun.
It is gonna be fun. I'm glad when we're actually gonna be a couple of weeks in and we can actually talk about legitimate football and not all this hoopla bullshit.
There's gonna be a lot of stories. There's gonna be a lot of things going on. So much to follow. We'll be talking other sports as well. Thank you for watching our NFL preview.
Appreciate it.
Yeah, this has been JD Sports. Good night, India.